Greetings once again, classic Sonic heroes. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with Sonic the Hedgehog, the Fang, the Hunter miniseries. Where previously, Fang has been on the search for the illustrious 8th Chaos Emerald. Initially going to Sonic to find out any information he could, Sonic made it clear he had no information about any of it. And so, Fang went for the next best thing. Where better to go in terms of mysterious emeralds than none other than the floating island. But anyone who's played Sonic the Hedgehog 3 knows that Knuckles doesn't much care for unwanted house guests. Shoot, he barely cares for guests at all. And so Knuckles set up a multitude of traps that Fang's allies, Bean and Bark, fell into. With Fang catching on all too late that something is up. Now knowing that he and his gang are in the clutches of Knuckles, will Fang get his gang and his prize? Or will he just end up with a fat lip? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, Sonic the Hedgehog, Fang the Hunter, Issue 2. Man, these covers are so good, though. Very reminiscent of the Sonic OVA, or the original Sonic the Hedgehog movie poster. Our story is by Ian Flynn, pencils by Thomas Roethlisberger, inks by Rick Mack, colors by Valentina Pinto, letters by Sean Lee, editor David Mariette, production Johanna Natali. We pick up on Mushroom Hill Zone on Angel Island, where Fang is doing his best to avoid a multitude of traps trying to crush him, jumping on a mushroom that immediately breaks off, but thanks to Fang's leaping ability, he's able to jump to safety before he plummets. Fang wipes the sweat from his brow, saying, "I came here to hunt down Knuckles. Instead, he's hunted me." I know he's not really Australian now, but I miss the accent. Fang recalls back to scoping out the areas where Bean and Bark were taken, saying to himself, he already tracked down and caught Bean and Bark. Nobody takes from me. I'm the taker of things. I'm Fang the Hunter, not Fang the Hunted, he says, gritting his teeth and shaking his fist. He then peeks around the corner, checking his surroundings, saying, I escaped that trap and nobody came to check. I'm betting he saw me get away and is falling back to prepare for my next move. That's what I'd do, he says as he reels back on his tail like a spring, leaping through an opening in the cavern that he ended up in, bouncing up a mushroom and landing on a tall one overlooking the desert nearby. As Fang says to himself, that's what I'd do. Question is, where would he fall back to? Fang then finds himself racing through Sandopolis Zone, beating down badniks. As he scopes out the area, he continues to talk to himself, saying, I wonder how many priceless relics I could find out here. He shakes his head, saying, no, keep your eye on the prize. I'm gonna find that 8th Chaos Emerald, and to do that I need my flunky. To get them, I need a bait knuckle. He ponders his situation, saying, if I were him, I'd take the high ground. Watch for my approach as I try to avoid pitfalls and traps. Time to subvert some expectations, he says with a smile. We then see Fang slowly making his way through Sandopolis, being as stealthful as possible, cautious not to make any noise, until eventually he spots Knuckles on the lookout for Fang's approach. Fang then gives a whistle, and Knuckles is distracted as the marvelous queen comes barreling towards him. As Knuckles only just barely manages to dodge it, Fang once again reels back on his spring-like tail, and with Knuckles none the wiser, Fang manages to clock Knuckles in the back of the head, sending him plummeting into a literal pitfall. Fang relaxes and gloats, saying, that's why you don't mess with the best, Knucklehead. Fang then hops on his bike, saying, now to collect the mooks and get this treasure hunt back on track. But as he descends into the pit, he questions, how deep does this go? Only to find an entire sand-filled catacomb beneath the area he was already in, much to his shock. But doesn't get Fang down. He gives a smile, saying, not bad, Knucklehead. On to round 2. Elsewhere, it seems Sonic and Tails have tracked down that battleship they heard about, flying low underneath it, right above the waves. In the tornado, Sonic gestures to it, asking, hey Tails, you think that's your mystery battleship? Tails saying, it's gotta be. Sonic peers at it, noticing the Eggman logo, saying, sure enough, it's got Dr. Eggman's logo on it, I think. Yeah, that's a different kind of logo than we're used to. Sonic holds on as Tails flies up, Sonic asking, ready for some daring aerial battle, little buddy? And Tails saying, I guess it's the only way to see what it's capable of. Here we go. Oh, okay, for a second I had thought like a firework had gone off, but no, the airship just disappeared? It's not chaos control, is it? Sonic and Tails are in shock. And Sonic gets angry, saying, how is that fair? Tails freaks out, saying, how do you move that much mass like that? There wasn't even an air displacement. But Sonic smiles, saying, now I'm really interested in what's going on here. Any way to track this ghost plane down? Tails gives a thumbs up, saying, I'll analyze my scanner data as soon as we're back at the workshop. Sonic tells him, then let's hurry it up. Meanwhile, back in Sandopolis in the underground, coming at you straight from the underground, Fang finds himself dealing with Giggle at the ghosties, Fang. I keep wanting to call him Knack. He tries to swat at one with his hat, saying, back off, you poltergoons. He then turns his bike around and flashes the ghost with his headlight, saying, ha, take that. The ghost shrieks back, and Fang cheers, saying, nobody messes with the best, with him being none the wiser of Knuckles' approach as Knuckles rams into him, knocking him off the Marvelous Queen and sending them both careening down the sand waterfall. I love the image of the ghost holding back the others, being like, nah, bro. You don't want to get involved in this. As Knuckles and Fang plummet further and further down, they end up at where the cascading sand lands, where we see Bean and Bark tied up, held up in the air. Bean and Bark smile seeing Fang, as Bean says, hooray, he found us. But Fang gets pissed, saying, you useless mooks, do you know how much I've gone through to get here? Bean and Bark, remembering how exasperating Fang can be, immediately scowl as Bean says, hooray, he found us. But Knuckles goes in for the punch on Fang, saying, no time for games, I'm finishing this. Knuckles barely misses Fang's face as Fang falls backward onto his springtail and manages to hop out of Knuckles' range. Gives a whistle as the Marvelous Queen cuts down Bean and Bark. Okay, I can't really tell. I think maybe they were missing some element to the drawing, but I think Knuckles just blitzes in on Fang and knocks him in the stomach. Knuckles then holds Fang down and winds up for another punch, saying, it's over, with Fang, who's still a little winded, barely making a, yeah, for you, as Knuckles then notices Bean and Bark approaching, Bark cracking his knuckles and Bean pulling out a bomb. Knuckles then questions, it doesn't matter, I'll fight to the bitter end to protect the Master Emerald. Fang sneers, saying, who cares? I'm hunting down the 8th Chaos Emerald. I love this image of Knuckles thinking of all the emeralds he's aware of, and he thinks that the 8th that Fang is referring to as the Master Emerald, which can't blame him for thinking that. Knuckles gets pissed, reeling back again, saying, you can't trick me with your wordplay. The Master Emerald is the 8th one. Fang tries to hold him off, saying, no, it's the Master Emerald. It's in the name. Fang brushes himself off, saying, the 8th Emerald is orange, or maybe gold, or rainbowy. Knuckles turns to Bean and Bark, saying, do you have any idea what he's talking about? They both shrug, with Bark shaking his head. Bean says, nope, we were hoping you would have a clue. Knuckles crosses his arms, saying, I've spent every waking moment looking after one emerald. Why would I want to add to that? And I don't leave the island if I don't have to. When would I have had time to hunt down some fairy tale? Fang gives an accusatory point, saying, you're holding out on me, with Knuckles simply saying, you're delusional. Knuckles then shoos them away, saying, now quit wasting my time and get off my island. The trio retreat to the Marvelous Queen, with Bean saying, gee, so we got beat up and tied up for nothing? That's neat. Bean's a lot more snarky in this version. I kinda like it. And so the team of hooligans make their way off of Angel Island, sulking along the way, with Fang questioning, first Sonic, then Knuckles? Why are these so-called heroes so ignorant? Bean turns to him saying, Fang, buddy, Friendo, sugar wumpus. You're wasting your time. You're wasting our time. Either get us a real gig or we're out of here. Fang says, is that right? Both of you. And as he turns to Bark, Bark gives an angry nod. Fang then turns on the, sky brakes? Yeah, let's go with that. Fang then gives a sneer saying, the Marvelous Queen is my ride. She goes where I go. If you mooks don't want to ride along, well, here's your stop. Bean looks over the side of the Marvelous Queen, noticing that they are very much above the ocean, miles from land. And Bean and Bark rightfully get real nervous about that prospect. Bean saying, why bail when we've come this far, right? Right. So where to now, boss? Fang gives a mocking smile and then pulls up a holographic readout of some kind of Eggman location. Fang tells him, I was hoping all Flate Fate or the Knucklehead would give me a strong lead, but some of my research pointed out this super remote island. Fang then slumps back in his seat, a little miffed, saying, legend says it has some kind of treasure that was connected to the Chaos Emerald. And as they near the island, he tells them, it ain't much, but it's my last lead, so we're headed there. Although Bean gets a little worried, noticing how choppy the waves are getting, as well as us seeing dark clouds on the horizon nearing this island. Jeez, the most nightmare version of Eggman Land I've ever seen. As it begins to rain and the trio make their way across the island on foot. As Fang pushes the Marvelous Queen, he looks around saying, guess Eggman tried to conquer this island a while back. Bean gets a little exasperated saying, I don't know. This place looks like it could implode any minute, and there's no fun in blowing up something so decrepit. He notices a piece of the architecture falling apart. As Bark tries to get back on the bike, Fang's still pushing it saying, we ain't leaving. We couldn't if I wanted to. He gets a little depressed saying, my poor baby needs to recharge her battery. She's been pushed to the limit flying around fighting that mean old Guardian. But then he gets excited, rubbing his hands together saying, oh, that's gonna change once I find that 8th emerald though. I'll sell it off and get her all the best upgrades. Ooh, or maybe I'll plug it right into her power core. They're supposed to have infinite power, right? Nothing but the best for my Marvelous Queen. He then notices that Bean and Bark are listening intently to him, essentially leaving them out of the whole situation, and they rightfully lean in, with Bean saying, where's the part where we get our cut? Fang continues to push the Marvelous Queen, ignoring their question, saying, it benefits the whole gang. Look at the bigger picture. And it looks like Bean and Bark are doing just that. And they give each other an eye saying, nuts to that. Oh, the trio make their way into a control room that's looking very much like it's starting to flood. As Fang accesses the control panel, he says, hey, looks like Eggman was monitoring the island from here. We can speed up the search using this. Let's see here. Man, somebody really did a number on this place. As more and more water fill up the command center, Bean and Bark scramble to the Marvelous Queen, trying to keep themselves upright. As Fang continues to fiddle with the console, say, bah, this interface is worthless. Well, I'm getting a static. What little I can see shows everything is flooding. He then notices that he's, chest deep in water. He then also hops on the Marvelous Queen, questioning, why didn't you mook say anything? Bean then gestures, saying, that would be a great time to take off and not, drown? But Fang freaks out, saying, the batteries aren't charged enough. I can't get her to go. As Fang desperately fiddles with the controls, Bark looks up at the ceiling that they're about to quickly run into, while Bean is looking at the increasing water level, saying, aw, man, swallowing bubble stinks. Suddenly, some kind of grabber claw comes crashing through the roof, and the three of them are picked up. And while Bean cheers, saying, hooray, we've been rescued, Fang is less than pleased, saying, oh no. And as we see that it was the Eggman who rescued them, he angrily questions, what are you three doing in my territory? And an exasperated Fang says, hey, Doc, fancy meeting you here. And even Bean is kinda done, saying, hooray, we've been rescued. Next time, at the mercy of Dr. Eggman. Ooh, yeah. The story begins with who's gonna win. You know where the danger lies within. Sorry. This continues to be a very decent read, and while I continue to be kind of like, man, I would have preferred to still have the main book going as well as this, it's not terrible. And as things go on, I become increasingly curious about exactly whether or not this thing that Fang is searching for actually exists. I've heard some rumblings that there is some correlation to actual game content, but I'm not actually familiar with what game any of this would come from. Also, that battleship. The goings-on of Sonic and Tails in the background is very mysterious, because honestly, the way that ship disappeared kind of felt like Chaos Control. But this early in the canon? Then again, it might be a result of Sonic Superstars to some degree. Although from what I can tell, those emerald powers only existed on the Starfall Island. And I don't see Eggman being helpful in this situation. And Fang and Eggman don't hate each other, but I don't see Eggman being someone who would hear about an 8th Chaos Emerald and not just want it for himself. If Fang were to offer, Fang might get a payday out of it, but I see Eggman seeing the opportunity of just getting what he wants and not having to deal with anyone else. Cut out the middleman, as it were. So we'll just have to see. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and hope to see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.